That's Sarah from Living Yoga. Cool, everyone. So maybe we could just do a quick check-in. How are you all doing? Are you completely confused about your Buddhist studies so far? Who would like to go first?
The hand yoga is really hard. The hand yoga is really, really hard.
I sent you the
really, Jordan?
Stand up.
Oh.
I thought these two fingers had to be flat. So I've been fighting with myself trying to be flat.
Break your fingers. No, so it's this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the two little what do you call ring fingers are supposed to be up. Anyway,
Okay.
it goes like that. So you got to pull the others down, and then the two go up. So the two little fingers that go up represent Mount Meru, which is a great mystical mountain at the center of the universe.
Wow.
There you go. Great.
We'll
So
figure it out.
who's Jordan? You all good? Cool.
Yeah.
Where are you overseas now?
I'm in Barcelona.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
When did you move there? How long?
I've been here for about 2 months now.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you were still in Ireland.
No. Yeah, I came to spend some time with Jamie in Barcelona.
Oh, that's nice. Jamie from Living Yoga.
Yeah, Jamie's my brother.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know you guys had moved.
Jamie's been here for about 3 years now. I've only recently moved across March this year.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Awesome.
Anybody else would like to check in? How you all doing?
Thank you for the material. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Great. And now I understand this. Now I understand the spelling of some of the terms. I had mixed up N's and M's and all sorts of things.
Okay.
It was very useful.
No, I thought I'd better get off my butt and do this properly. Otherwise, I'm just going to be lazy and expect you guys to join all the dots. Thanks, John.
But thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mark, just from me, hi. It's really the chants which are going to be interesting.
The chanting, yeah. Oh no, you'll get used to it. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. So Jocelyn's joined us. She's a friend of mine. Your name's not there, but it says Galaxy A30. Jossie, you're going to have to put your name there.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll just call you Galaxy, Galaxy Lady. So Jocelyn's just joined us, which is cool. I think we are missing a few people. Sean's got his funky hairstyle going. Nice to see you, Sean. You're looking good. Yeah, last year he was like big bearded and woolly, and now he's clean shaven and stylish. So he's
springtime, Mark.
Vanessa, you remember?
Yeah, I didn't actually recognize him when we started expanding.
Yeah.
And when he actually said, I did the teacher training with Vanessa, and I was like, oh my God, okay, the penny just dropped.
Yeah.
And then when you said martial arts, then I like really connected the dots, but I didn't actually recognize him.
No, you do look different, Sean.
I'm just turning this on mute quickly. Cool.
So, Emily, you good?
Good, thanks, Mark.
Super. Emily's in the UK. And Ronelle, you good?
Yeah, good. Just got a bit of a flu, but yeah.
Listen, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's fine. Ginger water.
Just make sure you don't lose your sense of smell.
Not that. It's not that.
Goodness. And Michelle, how are you doing?
Good, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you well?
Yes, thanks.
Super. So, Karine, how's life?
I'm good. I'm just a little tired.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, just because I've been in my art studio the whole day, so my eyes are quite sore, but otherwise I'm fine.
Cool.
It's not
Lovely,
used to it.
lovely to see you.
You too, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, so I think let's just do opening prayers. I did send it on your phone. If you don't have to panic to try and find it, you can just sort of close your eyes and listen to the chanting. When you've heard it for about the 30th time, you'll start to remember it. You know. I hope we have that many classes. I don't know. Maybe that's too much. So we start with the mandala offering, which is the little hand yoga. If you haven't got it right yet, then don't stress too much about it. I did send you a diagram, so practice that. Kind of looks like that. Anyway, and it hurts in the beginning. So this is offering the universe. So you can imagine a whole sky of holy beings or great teachers or great masters or whoever's inspired you. And you can imagine that this whole world is the divine place, a beautiful paradise, without protesting, rioting, load shedding, or any problems, okay? So try and imagine a perfect little mandala place and offer that to the enlightened beings. Saji Bogi Junshin Meto Tram Rira Blinji Ninde Gempari Sangye Shindu Mikte Uargi Roku Namda Shinla Jupashu Iram Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami. And now you just put your hands together in the prayer position. Tuck your thumbs into your hands. There we go. So now we're just taking refuge. It's a refuge prayer. You don't have to take refuge, but it's just really relying on the wisdom of enlightened beings to guide us through this session. Repeat it 3 times. Sangye Chodang Soki Chognam La Chanchu Badu Dagni Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Penchir Sangye Drupai Shoy Sangye Chodang Soki Chognam La Chanchu Badu Dagni Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Penchir Sangye Drupai Shoy Sangye Chodang Sogi Chonam La Janje Bade Dagni Kyapsu Chi Dage Jenso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Drupai Shu. Great. So these prayers are all in Tibetan. And as you study, you'll get to know them more and why we do them. But for now, you can just enjoy the chanting. I hope my voice is not too terrible sounding. Right. So if there are any questions with regards to what we've done so far, we've been through the life of the Buddha, which I included in the notes. We went through the 3 different schools of Buddhism, the Theravada or Hinayana, the Mahayana, and the Vajrayana. We've also gone into the 4 Noble Truths. That's the first thing that the Buddha taught after the Buddha attained enlightenment. And the first Noble Truth is the existence of suffering. The Buddha said that life is kak, basically. And the Sanskrit word for kak is dukkha. It's the D-U-K-K-H-A. That means life is suffering. And then the Buddha said that there's a way to be free of suffering, which was the second Noble Truth. The third Noble Truth is that Oh, sorry. The second noble truth was suffering as a cause. The third noble truth is that there's a path, there's a way to be free of that. And the fourth noble truth is that by following a certain path, we can be free of that suffering. So there is suffering, it has a cause, there's a way out, and you've got to follow the path. It's quite simple, but out of those headings come branches. And then we started to explore the first noble truth. And in that noble truth, the truth of suffering, we explored the suffering of suffering, which is to be born, get older, get sick, and die. Then suffering of change, that everything that we get or have will change, that nothing is constant, that nothing will remain as good as it was the first time, or no great relationship will remain a great relationship. At some point, we will all have to say goodbye. No matter who you love and care for, you will still have to say goodbye. So that's suffering of change, suffering of impermanence. It's a suffering. And then the third suffering was all-pervasive suffering in samsara, which is we don't know what's around the next corner. We don't know what our karma is going to produce, so we have no idea what's coming. And that's this form of suffering. It's like an anxiety. You know, if you ask people, how do you feel if you think about the future? 95% of people say anxious. They never say excited and exhilarated. You know, we're just kind of like, we don't really trust life. We're waiting for the next poo-poo to hit the fan. So I'd like to move us into a place where we can start trusting life, that we can actually start tweaking reality by understanding a few things. Now, I've been doing this for 20 years and I still don't trust life. I still think that there's like disaster around the corner, you know. But I'm trying to rewire that, because by thinking that, I'm also planting seeds of suffering. So it's a lot about rewiring our worldview, and not just our brain, but our karma. So we're going to get into that. I gave you a meditation exercise, which I did put on the WhatsApp group, but I'll give you another one today. And yeah, so we just went through what it is to be in this samsara place. Does anybody know what samsara is? It's a Sanskrit word.
Isn't samsara the cyclical nature we're stuck in, with reincarnation and death, and then just keep coming back until we actually find nirvana?
Correct. Yeah. So that's samsara. So the Buddha said that we are in an illusion. He said it's not really real. It's like a bad dream. We're stuck in samsara. And the Buddha, when the Buddha became enlightened or attained enlightenment, he popped out of samsara. So he said, never again will I have to take rebirth, or never again will I be forced by my karma to take rebirth. I am now free of that. And before the Buddha and after the Buddha, there have been many realized people who escaped from samsara. There was actually a nightclub in Brixton in London called Escape from Samsara. I wasn't quite. You know, they thought if you take copious amounts of drugs and listen to techno music, you would. But yeah, you know, that was a weird idea. But also at the time of ancient India, there were also weird ideas, but theirs wasn't so fun. They thought that samsara, if they punished themselves, mind over matter, that you could pop out of samsara. But the Buddha said, no, that's not quite the way. So the Buddha came up with, found the middle way. So basically this suffering, the samsara place is a place of suffering. It's a place of suffering. And we are told that we have been alive for as many eons as grains of sand in the Ganges. I mean, that's inconceivable. There's a quote here that says, "The waters of the 4 great oceans are small compared to the tears you have wept for your loved ones." That's pretty big. Now, we struggle to get our head around that. But we also struggle to answer, why the hell are we here? And most of us just say, well, maybe it's just an accident, you know. So we'll get into that. The Buddha said that our mind is producing samsara. That samsara is not really a place. It's not like, you know, you take your spade and you dig and you dig and you dig and until you eventually reach hell, and there's the devil, you know, with his pitchfork and the funny tail. The Buddha said it's more of a mind state, this realm that we're in. Not so real as we think it is. And the Buddha said that all of samsara is mind created. That mind is producing this whole story. Whether you're an animal or a human or a long life God or a hungry ghost. And there's so many different levels to this samsara place. Sometimes some people can see different realms. I know on psychedelics, sometimes you can. But anyway, I believe that there are lots of different realms. And I've seen probably 1 or 2 of them that some people haven't. But I believe they were real. And the Buddha was able to see many and move between those realms and talk about those realms in all shapes and forms. So we're in the human realm. Welcome. And the Buddha said this human realm is the best one to be in because it's not too good and it's not too bad. So what is the danger of it being too good?
Surely if it's too good, we'll stop growing.
Yeah. We won't want to search for freedom. We'll just be at the party all day, you know, and everything will be great. It'll just be like one big holiday on the beach of Mauritius, or, you know, that's, yeah. Casey said we won't want to leave. Exactly. Thanks, Casey. We won't want to leave.
Realms like that though?
Yeah. So the Buddha said there are. So those sort of mythical gods, you know, like Thor and Odin and all those big battles that go on, and, you know, Marvel, the Buddha said it's pretty much like that on the God and demigod realms. So those he said are quite real. So I don't know if they're real. I'm not sure. I never saw those realms. But basically saying that the mind is producing samsara. So the Buddha said that the only thing that continues from this life is mind. Okay, Vanessa, you and I had this class. There's no soul as such. There's no independent, inherent, self-existent soul. And that's quite different from the other religious points of view in terms of the Vedas and in terms of Christianity and Muslim faith. Everybody believes in a soul, and the Buddha said there's no such thing as a soul. And his argument was anatman, is that there is no self. There is no self, permanent self, that exists from life to life. And his argument was, if there was anatman, then you could never be reborn as an animal, or you could never be reborn in any of the other realms. You'd always like chocolate cake, you know. You'd always like a steak with chips. But I know that a lot of people here started out their life loving ribs and steaks, and now they're vegans. Okay? And you'd never go back to that, right? Even if you taste the steak, you'll be like, ugh, disgusting. Okay, so that's what the Buddha was saying. There's no inherent Jordan that loves steak, that goes from life to life, always loving steak and chips. You know, Jordan has the ability to change and be someone completely different. So that's what the Buddha said. Whereas the other angle was like, we have this sort of inherent quality, a Vanessa-like being that will always float into a Vanessa-like existence, okay? So the Buddha said, no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. The mind will move from one life to the next, and in the mind, the only thing that will carry on are your karma, or your karmas that you take with you. The things, and my teacher said, if you are a yogi in this life and you like to do yoga, that meant that in your last life you like to do yoga, and maybe in your life before that you like to do yoga. So Sean, maybe you were a martial arts guy in Japan or wherever in your previous life, and that's why you love martial arts in this life. So why did you choose martial arts again? The Buddhists will say, well, you didn't really choose it. You were just kind of forced by your karma to enjoy it, to like it, you know?
Mark, is there not a starting point on that? Because I get what you're saying is it becomes a cyclical, but is there not a point in time where you first started liking or adapting or doing something that then repeats itself?
Yeah. I mean, there's a, let's say, for example, I go into the Kruger, and I went with a friend of mine who's a hunter. So he likes to hunt. So he's like, come and hunt. And I'm like, yeah. So maybe if I start to go hunting, then I'm in the bush creeping with my large rifle, stalking animals. Okay. Then in my mind, I'm imprinting, I'm a being that stalks other animals. Then those habits will carry over to my next life, where I might have a suitable body to stalk animals. Okay. So I might be born as a predator, someone that is born to hunt, because I enjoyed that in my past life. So some people might think, gosh, that would be amazing if I was born as a lion or a leopard or a cheetah or someone like that, you know? I think a lot of hunters would think that would be a cool next life. But I know that's not, because a life of a predator is generally starvation and suffering. So, you know, I think my life is pretty cool. I've got enough food, and I don't have to worry too much, look over my shoulder all the time. Must be amazing to be born an eagle or a beautiful bird like that where you can fly. Maybe that's nirvana. I don't know. But again, they do have to die. And they say once an animal gets into that type of existence, it's very difficult for the mind to attain another human birth. You might go through thousands and thousands and thousands of lives as an animal until you eventually come out of that and be reborn in another realm. So in terms of a beginning, the Buddha said that it's beginningless. There never was a beginning. And he says that samsara and nirvana are the same. That freedom from samsara is the same as samsara. He said it's just two different sides of the coin. So I think what he was meaning by saying that is that it's all in your mind. You change your karma, you change your mind. Your mind is making up this whole picture. And then life to life, we reincarnate into another existence, depending on our actions that we, the thoughts, the words, our actions in this life decide who we're going to be in our next life. So you can thank your previous person, and I don't want to call them a Corinne, or they're not. They could have been Joe or somebody else, completely different, that planted a certain amount of seeds, and now you are that person's product. Okay. Any questions, Ronelle?
Yeah, so Mark, on this topic we're on now, so it's something that I think with a lot of different teachings and so forth that I struggle with is around the concept of the soul. So in lots of, across many teachings, like not even going to one, there's the belief that human beings are the only ones with a soul with choice that has the ability to choose, which, you know, like where I struggle is because if you have a pet, a dog or something, like you see, like you see emotion, you see like if a cow's calf dies, like that. So like I struggle with that concept. So I would like to know, like, from a Buddhistic perspective, because obviously, you know, there's, like you said, I could be born a cow next time, you know. So it's just for me to, and like when you were talking about Sean, like, sorry Sean, when Mark was talking about the martial arts, I thought maybe you were Kung Fu Panda before, you know. But yeah, so I don't know if there's something that you can maybe from this teaching, so just based off that, because that's really something I debate with myself when I hear these things.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up a Catholic, and the priest told me that animals are just basically soulless, and they're here for our consumption. You know, they're like vegetables, which I never thought, because I really loved my doggies and my cats, and I didn't see them as walking plants. They had personalities and so on. Not to say that plants don't, but the Buddha would say that every sentient being, a sentient being is a being that has consciousness, that can feel pain, you know, that can feel something, is the same. We all are basically, every sentient being has Buddha nature and has awareness. If you have awareness, you have Buddha nature, which means that at some point, that little, maybe even an amoeba that has some sort of, the Dalai Lama says, if you are searching for happiness and trying to avoid suffering, you're a sentient being, whether you're an ant or a termite or a bee. And that's why we don't kill, we try not to kill anything, or we try and limit, as a Buddhist, our footprint, because we believe that if we're going to go around killing beings on purpose, then our next life won't be so good. So we try really hard to understand that they're not just walking soulless beings. We've been a cow many times. We've been many different animals. If you go back to this, the amount of tears that we cried could fill the 4 great oceans. I mean, that's crazy. Like, how many lives have we lived in the worst places and in the best places? And that's what the Buddha says. He says, you guys have been spinning around forever in samsara, and I'm here to try and get you out. And the Buddha's outside of the cycle, but the Buddha can come in and can only be seen if your karma allows you to see the Buddha. So we're going to get into what more about karma. I know a lot of you have done, but it's like your blinkers. You know, you can only see a Buddha if you have enough wisdom. And there's a story of the thief. You know, the thief saw the Buddha come to town, but all the thief was looking at was the Buddha's pockets. Missed the whole teaching. He was, you know, the thief was just trying to work out, how can I steal from the Buddha? So at the end of the day, we will all become enlightened, but it might take trillions and trillions of years. It might take eons. But that's our job. And so will a little ant. And you never know. You know, that little ant could have been your father in a previous life. In fact, the Tibetans say that we've all been each other's mother at some stage. And we've all killed each other at some stage. So it's a tough one to think about, but what's the alternatives? We can explore that, you know. So this idea that the Buddha spoke about, that all life is suffering, if we can internalize this and really make it solid, then it's very hard. I mean, I remember I dated someone who just because I was with them, she expected me to make her life happy. and she put me as this Prince Charming, you know, outside of the realm of misery. But when she realized I was just a normal human being, then the relationship ended. So and this is what a lot of people do, is they expect their partner to lift them out of samsara, to lift them out of this misery. And we think that maybe we'll leave South Africa because it's a bad place and we'll move to a better place, you know? And then you move there, but there's still cuck there. Or you move from this job to that job, always searching for a better job. But the job never really gets to be the best job. There's still cuck there too. You know, I mean, I had friends who got married and they had problems in their marriage. And they said, we're moving to Plet. We've got a place on the beach. And I married them in Plet. The dolphins were jumping, you know, out the water when I said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. I mean, they said, it's a sign, it's a sign. Within 3 months, they were divorced, you know. No matter where you are, you can be in the most beautiful place. You can finally make it to the Hawaiian beach, and you're lying there, and your body decides to kill you. You know, your liver packs up, or you get cancer, or some shit happens, or a loved one dies. Or you can never escape samsara. You know, you can't. There's nowhere where you can escape the suffering. And also, I think people that realize this first truth, they take their lives, you know, they know, they're clever people that take their lives. You know, I mean, there's a few friends I have here who've been through that. They've lost loved ones to suicide, me too. And those people just decide, they realize there's no happiness here. You can't rely on anything. And they get that first noble truth. They understand it. Unfortunately, nobody gave them the second, third, and the fourth. Okay, so this is the most depressing part of the class, is that life really, what do they say? What is that thing? Life's a bitch and then you die. But fortunately, it's not that bad, really. I mean, we say it can't be that bad, but you know, then you get seriously ill, and then it is that bad, and then you think, crap, you know, how did that happen to me? And it happens to everybody at some stage. We're just buying time. So we move into the second noble truth. Does anybody have questions there? I can see you all looking quite miserable.
It just sounds all doom and gloom now.
No. Yes. I mean, if you think about it, we're all on an airplane, and the airplane is going down. You know, it just depends on when. When do you fall out the plane? It's going down. You know, we are going to die. There's no way out. But then to think that the Buddha actually said there's no death. Death is your illusion. You think you die, but you don't. You never die. You just shed your body like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon, and then you move on to the next one. So the mind itself is indestructible. The mind itself is not made up of the body, okay? Now, a neuroscientist would try and convince you that your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts are just chemicals bubbling in your brain, and it's the interaction between your brain and your nervous system, okay? That's what they would try and convince you. That everything you do is just chemical reactions between your brain and your nervous system. I know it sounds weird, but that's what they say. Okay? It's just chemicals and nervous system. That's who you are.
Sorry, Mark, I do have a quick question there. So we've talked about the fact that sentience is not limited to beings that we necessarily perceive as conscious, but could go on to plants and all sorts of like smaller life forms that we don't. And then we've also talked about the fact that the only thing that really exists is mind, and that the body is just a temporary sort of vessel for now. So this whole concept of, I mean, I am a vegan, and it's an interesting one for me, because then you come to the whole do no harm, ahimsa sort of side of things, and you go, well, is there any way for me to eat where I'm not actually then taking from some form of sentient being? And even if I am taking from a sentient being, if there is only mind and we are destined to die and move on, is it not just an enactment of karma? Is there any point in what I'm doing?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a great question. Look, we are killing machines. In the tofu that you eat, there are millions and millions of bugs that got harvested and died in the process. The land that's used to grow grain, and I mean, we're killing the planet by farming. So and I had a hunter explain that to me while I was in the Kruger, and I was like, dude, you're right. I can't argue with you. He said there's nothing that's karma free. He said, at least I shoot my own meat and I don't go buy it from Woolworths. So I got respect. I can't judge. The thing is, it all depends on motivation, Jordan. At the end of the day, so we'll get into the 4 laws of karma and the weight of karma. But yes, for the animal to die and for the animal to land up on your table is the animal's karma. But again, for us to have for the act of killing is also what we plant. So look, the Dalai Lama himself eats meat. And he does it because his physician said if he eats vegetables, he'll get sick and he'll die earlier. So he's decided to eat meat so that he can stay alive longer and be of benefit to all sentient beings. Now, that might sound ironic and it might sound weird, but I think in that there's something. And I don't believe that eating meat is good, and I don't believe it's bad. I think it's empty, and I think that I think it's the intention to try and save beings and try and save beings from suffering, no matter where they are and who they are, and to try and make that call. How can I cause less suffering in the world? And decide for yourself what you can do. And in that is 90% of the virtue that will lead you to a better existence. But you will not know. You might say, I'm vegan, and you might be causing more deforestation and destruction than hunting a buck, okay? But it's that intention, and obviously always trying to dispel ignorance by learning where my food comes from. I mean, we looked here, we said ignorance is the #1 cause of samsara. Ronelle?
Sorry, Mark. So just on that, and I was listening to you through this, and also just about being mindful about where what comes. And I mean, even earlier when I spoke about the soul thing, because it's also if you speak to plants, they grow better.
Yeah.
There's the thing of the sunflowers. When there's no sun, they face each other. So there must be something, not only because then we also just mechanical type of a thing. So yeah, so I feel you, and this coming from someone that many years back used to be a hunter when I used to eat meat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I felt that if I hunted in a good place and things, it was that type of thing. And today I don't so much. But also when you were saying now that the Dalai Lama eats meat, so and I know you spoke, and sorry guys, this is just for my understanding of this process. So I mean, a lot of things is also where he said sometimes that you must, if you eat meat, it's fine, but you must eat as far away from your species.
Okay.
I don't know, like if that is also because I mean, for me, it's like now if I eat meat, I feel as if I'm eating someone's feelings. It's a someone to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there any truth in eating, say, fish instead of? I don't know.
Well,
it's a question I would like to pose to get some understanding.
Well, the funny thing is, what I heard from the Tibetan monks is that if you are going to eat meat, I mean, one cow could probably feed a lot of people, whereas one fish will just feed you. You know, so I mean, they say if you're going to kill, that's one being as opposed to eating 5 fish or 8 prawns. You know, so that's kind of like the thinking is that there's 8 prawns on your plate, or it's a portion of a cow. But I mean, it's such a difficult
A
conversation.
really big fish.
It's such a difficult conversation for me to get into. I mean, I follow a vegetarian diet, but then when I have someone who is a hunter that tells me his view, I find myself not able to judge him, you know, because he has a perspective and an intention. And I think it all comes back to, what do you believe is going to heal this planet and help the world? And how does your diet match that? And
Sorry, Mark,
investigate that. Yeah.
does it not, sorry, my video doesn't work, but does it not also come back to just eating happy foods? So if that cow has lived a happy life, because I'm vegan, and I also find it difficult to obviously go to the shops and buy tofu for that exact reason, or almond milk, because so many bees are killed in the production of almond milk, and bees are the one thing that we need the most on the planet. But like, if I can sustainably source those almonds and drink that milk, then I know that it's been done in good karma, in a way that has lived a healthy, loving life, and its time has come to an end on this earth. Its time is out the airplane now. Surely it balances to that point of just being, I always call it happy food. If you're eating happy food and the cow has lived in green pastures and you've put it to bed every night and it's had a good life, but its time has come, then surely that is good to eat, rather than us who go and eat farmed and produced almond milk, which has killed bees unnecessarily.
Yeah, I think it's that farming process that is the enormous, terrible suffering. And it's the greatest crime as humans that we can put animals through, is that terrible condition that they have to live in, including chickens and so on.
Yeah.
And I believe that coronavirus is probably the karma for that suffering that we've inflicted on, and the way that these animals are treated. And you know, the thing is, we don't treat those animals that way. But every time we contribute to it by paying the money, it sort of fuels that whole industry. So you've got to work it out for yourself. I'm not going to say to you what I believe is the right thing. You've got to work out for you what the right thing is, whether it's eating meat or not. You know, Diana?
Yeah, so I mean, I also had like a chat with, like, you know, the monks in Taiwan about this whole thing, and they were saying, yeah, ideally you try not to harm any beings, but it also depends on the environment that you are living in. So like they were saying how in Tibet, a lot of monks actually eat meat because in that specific environment, there's not enough like vegetables, or, you know, the conditions not great enough to sustain your health, and they have no option but to eat meat. But obviously when they do eat it, they, you know, as we said, they know where it's coming from, they're grateful about it. And I guess that's where the Dalai Lama is, you know, I need to be healthy in order for me to be able to pass on the teachings. So I think we probably just need to be conscious and understand, you know, everyone's, you know, I guess purpose or reasoning, instead of just saying that, oh no, you eat meat, that's so horrible, or, you know, it all depends on, you know, the circumstances. And I, as you said, I think the Buddhist teaching is we try to create the least harm.
Correct.
But I mean, if your health is really in danger, then you should do something about it. Yeah, that's just my 5 cents.
Absolutely. But, you know, you never know. Every doctor I've ever been to says, oh my God, you don't eat meat, you better start, because that's your main problem. And it's not, you know, I know, because I haven't, and I'm still fine. So, yeah, I think you've got to work it out for yourself. There was one issue at a monastery where they had an infestation of rats. They had like thousands of rats that were eating away at the monastery. And they went to the Dalai Lama or the Karmapa, who's another leader, and they said, what do we do? Do we just leave the rats and let them destroy the monastery? And the Karmapa said, no, exterminate. You know, get rid of them. so it's, sometimes there's hard decisions. Sometimes there's tough decisions. You know, people, vegans that I know, everything's fine until their house gets overrun with cockroaches. And there's no other, you know, we had thousands of cockroaches. You're sleeping at night and you had cockroaches walking over your face. And we tried everything. We put them in a jar. We put peanut butter. We took them to the river. We said, you know, please leave. We did everything. Eventually, after a year of doing that, and every time we had people over for dinner, they had a cockroach run over their plate. We said, no, we just can't do this. Exterminate. So you know, there are difficult decisions. It's the same with your animal. It's the same with a cat or a dog. Now, the Buddhist view is don't kill. But, you know, your cat's dying, your dog's dying. And you go to the vet and you put it down. You know, that's something also. You basically kill the being. There's karma attached to that. Are you going to take that on or are you not? Then your motivation to alleviate that being suffering surely outweighs the action. And it kind of does. We'll get into it. It's quite funny. I mean, there's the story of the Tibetan monk who's walking along and it starts raining and there's a statue of the Buddha on the side of the road. So the monk goes, oh no, the Buddha's getting wet. And he takes his shoe off and he puts it on top of the Buddha's head, okay? To protect the Buddha, like put it on top of the head to protect the Buddha. And then an hour later, another monk comes walking and he goes, what is this terrible smelly shoe doing on the Buddha's head? Sis! And he throws the shoe away and he cleans the Buddha's head and he said, that must be a complete idiot who put a shoe on top of the Buddha's head. You see, you can't judge. So both monks had such devotion for the Buddha. One was trying to keep the Buddha dry and the other was, gosh, this is disgusting. You know, this terrible smelly shoe on the Buddha's head. You just don't know. What is the motivation? What is your motivation? Okay, so that's the important thing. All right. It's a big discussion. Not a discussion I wanted to get into, but I think important, eh? Yeah. What's the right thing to do? It's got to work for you in your life, you know. And look, nothing's karma free, Jordan. We are killing machines. You know, you walk from here to your car, and already you've stepped on a couple of hundred little things. I think the Jains, there's a sect in India called the Jains, Jainism, and they wear face masks so they don't breathe in insects. And wherever they walk, they have a broom and they sweep carefully so that they don't step on anything, you know. They believe that if you kill, and that's terrible karma.
I had an interesting experience of this the other day walking in the park. It was just one of those like pure instant karma moments where you have like nothing else to go but, oh, okay, cool, that was karma. I was walking my dog and it had been raining. And so there were lots of snails out and he went up to try and eat a snail. And I stopped him and I was like, okay, cool, I feel really good. I've saved the snail's life. And we did a loop of the park. And on my way back up, I stepped on the same snail without realizing it was there. And it was just like, I felt so mortified. But clearly, I mean, I just had this moment where I was like, okay, so it was clearly its time. And all I did was prolong it by like a tiny amount of time. But it was clearly just one of those things that was meant to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If it's your time, it's your time. Then your karma, you know, runs out. But we'll get into karma. It's yeah, it's quite a thing, that story. I mean, it just shows you how if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I had a thought around that, but it just escaped me. So we spoke last week a little bit about how I wanted to show you something I found on the web. I really love Buddhism, so this is my favorite subject. And I don't know, maybe you all think it's just mad and it's just the ramblings of a fool. But this is quite interesting. This is a part of a painting. Can you guys see this? Okay, so this is a Tibetan diagram, which is part of the Wheel of Life. It's a very ancient painting that it's the only painting that Lord Buddha commissioned. He actually had an artist to do this. So this painting is 2,500 years ago. Can you believe it? And it's not the whole painting. It's just a part of the painting. I will show you the rest of it in detail. So what we got here is in the middle, you've got a pig, you've got a rooster, and you've got a snake. That's all I want you to focus on. And the Buddha said, the whole wheel of samsara, you see the monk like going up and then going down, and so the whole cycle of rebirth, the whole wheel of samsara in all the realms that exist is caused by the pig. That's ignorance. And no disrespect to pigs, okay? It's not saying that pigs are ignorant. It's just a symbol. That from that ignorance, you see, almost coming out of the mouth of the pig is the rooster or the cock. And that represents desire or ignorant liking. And out of the mouth of that desire comes the snake, which is aversion or ignorant disliking. Now, a lot of Buddhist teachers say the problem of samsara is ignorance, craving, and aversion. But it's not quite so. Ignorance, yes. Craving, not really. Okay, it's ignorant liking. There's a difference. There's liking something ignorantly. And then the snake, which is, they say aversion, but that's disliking something ignorantly. Do you understand? So ignorance, out of ignorance, like let's just say you walk into a donut shop and there's an old lady behind you and you quickly pass her and there's one donut left. And the person at the donut, what do they call it? Krispy Kreme or whatever. They say, here's the last one. And you go, please, I want it now. And you buy it. And the old person behind you says, oh, I was hoping to get that last one. And you kind of like run out the shop. So that would be ignorant liking. That would be understanding that somebody else really wanted something and you took it for yourself. So that's not understanding where donuts come from. Okay? What would ignorant disliking be? Maybe using violence to get rid of something, using force to get rid of something. That would be ignorant disliking. So the only way that you can get more donuts in the world of karma understanding, which breaks ignorance, is knowing that if you want something, you've got to give it away. So for every donut you give away, you're going to get 10 donuts back. It's not going to be good for your waistline. But that's how it works. Okay? And ignorant disliking is for everybody that you try and kill or push away, there's going to be about another 10 that's going to come at you. And that's how it works. And ignorance is that not understanding that whatever I take for myself and I'm selfish, I won't get. And whatever I try and attack, I'm going to see more of. What you resist persists, they say. Does that make sense? Any questions? So this was the only painting that the Buddha ever said, please paint. I want you to paint this. There are obviously many different versions, but the Buddhist art is just incredible because it is so rich with meaning. You can look at one painting and there's a whole like 10-week program, 2-hour classes each, just in one painting. It's like Da Vinci, you know, it's like putting a code or something in an image. So this is full, I mean, and hopefully we'll get to explore Buddhist art because it is one of my loves. I even tried it when I was in India, but it's so difficult to even draw the Buddha's face. You can't just do it. You have to draw lines and everything is geometric and symmetrical. And if you don't, it's bad karma. It's hilarious. So I'd like us to do a meditation practice, a little one. If you have the time, if you don't, you can log off. Vanessa, I know you've got maths projects. I want to give you a homework practice to do. The meditation we're going to do now is based on the Hinayana school. Now, I've given you who the Hinayana people are, the lesser vehicle, or the, let's be more respectful, the Theravada school, the school of the elders. Okay? I want to take you through the different meditations that each school does so that you get a clear idea what the differences are. And for some of you that have been doing mindfulness, you'll recognize that it's no different. Are there any questions or comments before we get into that practice? Okay. Right. So I'm going to record this and I'll put it on the WhatsApp group as homework. I'd like you to please try and do the meditations as much as possible. You don't have to listen to my voice all the time. Once you got the hang of it, then you do, you know, you just do it yourself. Why is this not working? Okay. All right. This is quite easy. So just choose a comfortable seat. Make sure your back is nice and straight. Michelle is already in the lotus position. Half lotus, sorry. Half lotus. So if you're sitting in the half lotus, Michelle, is your right leg up first? Your right leg. So that is traditional Buddhist posture. Half lotus is, and I've had this wrong for years. I always had my left leg over. But the Buddha actually said the right one must go over if you're sitting in half. It all has to do with channels and nadis and energy. And if you can sit in a full lotus position, that is the most, I don't know, they call it the Vajra Asana, full lotus. I can do it only for 10 minutes and then I really start to experience pain. I used to be able to sit like that for an hour in India. I was the cool guy in the spent all my time looking cool and not too much time, you know, deep in meditation. So however you feel is comfortable, right? If you just want to sit on a chair with your back straight like I'm doing, that's fine. Yeah, my sciatica nerve, it screams at me now as I age, and carrying a heavy backpack also wasn't fun. So sitting comfortably in a chair, 2 feet on the ground, your hands can be, the Buddha mudra is like this, you know. Right hand on top of left with thumbs touching. That's Buddha mudra in your lap. That's the Buddha mudra. And you can drop your chin and the Tibetans like to practice with their eyes open. But if you like, you can close your eyes. So once we've assumed our position, bring your awareness to your breath. And the Buddha taught this in the Apanasati Sutra, which is breath awareness. This was one of the first meditations he taught, trying to help people to focus their mind, because a focused mind will help us to pierce through the veil of illusion that is samsara. So this is the first step. In order to understand the deeper and more complex theories that we will go through, one does need a focused mind. Without a focused mind, you won't be able to follow this. So we train in focus. It's a discipline. It's a good discipline. It's a discipline outside of multitasking and autopilot living. Bring your awareness to your breath. Where do you find your breath? Either at the nose, or you can feel it moving in the chest, the expanding and contracting, or you can find the movement in your abdomen as you breathe. Choosing one place and resting your awareness on that place. The Buddha said we are mostly confused most of the time. So to wake up from confusion, we have to direct our mind like a laser beam to one thing and make it sharp. If your mind moves, that's okay. With loving kindness for yourself, you gently bring it back and you realize, I'm new at this and it's okay. I don't have to be perfect. I'm just starting this process. Thoughts arise as storylines, as bubbles that distract us and keep us into confusion and fabrication a lot of the time, thinking about the future that hasn't come or the past that's just a distant memory. Bringing ourselves into the present, into this reality, feeling your feet folded in half lotus or feet on the ground. Feel the feet. Be aware of your feet, of your legs, of your hips, of your torso, of your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Breathe into the body and feel the body move very slowly as you breathe, normally. Not ujjayi breathing, but just normal and very smooth. Breathing in is like new life, and breathing out is like death. Like rebirth and death constantly happening all the time. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. And breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Let's take in a deeper breath through the nostrils, filling the lungs. And open the mouth and sigh the breath out. We'll do a dedication prayer, dedicating the goodness of us coming together to explore these ideas for the well-being of ourselves, of our friends, of our family, of all sentient beings. May they all be well, may they all be happy, may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And we chant the Tibetan dedication prayer. Gewa di kewo kun, sunam yeshe zozo shin, sunam yeshe lejonwe, dampa kunia topa sho. You can open your eyes. Okay, so we got lots and lots and lots to get through. I'll have to work out how it's going to go. So far, so good. I think at some stage you're going to need a break. But I'd like to work out that we do an exam. Yeah, sorry. I won't make it too hard, but I think it's important so that the information and the knowledge is really ingrained. You know, my teacher did that, and it's good. It's good. Just go over the notes. Make sure you know the notes well. It's not difficult. Well, I don't think so. But maybe we set up little quizzes so that it's not one big bang information, which would be nice. Cool. Any comments or questions from anyone? You good? Great. So we'll see you next Monday. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Stay.
Bye.
Bye.
Casey says we do a quiz evening. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe that's what we should do. Like that. Okay. Nice to see you, Jossie.
Nice to see you, Mark. Thank you.
You're looking so skinny. Are you eating?
Trying.
Gosh, you lost a lot of weight.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad you're here. I'm really happy you're here.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice group, actually.
Yeah, lovely group.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah.
A lot
Nice.
of information though.
No, it's a lot. Yeah. I just take it in your stride, you know. See how it goes.
I don't know if I got all the notes though.
Okay.
Didn't.
I'll send them to you personally.
Thank you.
It was just on the group, you know.
Okay. I looked on the group, I saw the notes, but there was like the meditation I didn't see.
Okay. Yeah. No, well, don't worry about last week's meditation. I'm going to put the one we just did now.
Okay.
Then you've got that for homework, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
I've got to go.
Thank
I've got another 2-hour class starting now.
I've got dinner to cook and kids to bath.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks, boss. Have a
Okay.
great evening. Say hi to Molly.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.